Hi there. Hope you can hear me and that you are seeing me okay. So tonight, Wednesday night, is our normal night to go live. Normally around 7:30. We're closer to 9:30 tonight, which seems to be a better time. So you will let me know if that is a better time. I hope you can hear the screaming in the background. Football is on, and yeah, they've all been told to keep quiet, but it doesn't matter in this house when there's football on. Anybody else's house like that? So tonight's live is about, do you ever have reoccurring pain? Do you ever have pain or difficult thoughts or difficult feelings that keep coming back, keep coming up, you keep going through the motions with them? And possibly reoccurring pain that you've been working at, that you've been feeling, that you've been putting your heart and soul into, that you have been trying your best to think differently, to move differently, to affirm differently. Let me know if that makes any sense to you. And if I'm hitting the right note before we get started, because that's what I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about that reoccurring pain that seems to be your constant companion, that you get some relief from, but it keeps coming back, that you keep working with, especially at a thought level, but it keeps returning, and it's ever so difficult, and it's ever so painful, and it's exhausting, and you're wondering what the hell. That makes sense, Natalie. Good. I'm glad that makes sense. Hi, Lovisa. Good to see you. So we're going to talk about that a bit tonight, and what I want to do is I want to differentiate, and I'll help you differentiate between what is a limiting belief and what is a core wound, because that is often the reason that these types of difficult thoughts and difficult feelings return. And so if we treat the pain that we're in like a limiting belief, then what we're really doing, and you can tell me in the chat if this makes sense, what we're really doing is we're treating the thoughts that are attached to a limiting belief, and what we're trying to do is change that limiting belief. Now, what I want to point out quite clearly is a limiting belief is not a core wound. They operate entirely differently. Limiting beliefs are what I call the low-hanging fruit of therapy. I'm going to say that again, right? And it'll probably sting. But it's why I'm saying this is because I'm trying to help you ascertain whether it is a limiting belief and you just haven't got to the bottom of it, or it is a core wound. But limiting beliefs are the low-hanging fruit of therapy. They're the easiest spotted, they're the easiest identified, they sit at the surface level, they're often in thoughts, they come as a very strong understanding of something that you've had a limiting belief around, something that you've had a limiting thought around, something that you've believed, something that's very strong cognitively, something that's very understood in your frame of reference. Let me know if that makes sense. Let me just reframe that again, or repeat that again. A limiting belief is cognitive in nature. It's very strong. There's no doubt about it. You've made up your mind that it's a truth. Like money is hard to come by. I'm not good at. I'm not enough at, or I'm not enough in general. These kinds of limiting beliefs. They are cognitive in nature. They're have very strong ideology behind them. They're often roll off your tongue really, really, really easily. And they are the low-hanging fruit. When you go after them, they can tend to loosen a wee bit. You can tend to get some relief on them, and that's brilliant. Now, if you are treating a core wound in that way, then you're going to be in bother. And here's why you're going to be in bother. It's going to come back. Core wounds operate differently. They operate so differently, it's unbelievable. So let me explain what a core wound is. A core wound is a limiting belief that has taken energy in the body. It is emotion. It is somatics. Sometimes it's physical. Sometimes it travels through the body with immense pain. It often activates the nervous system. So you often get fear or anxiety or panic or as a result of it. It activates the defense system. So whatever defense you have often comes as an automatic response to that core wound being triggered. It is filled with energy, and the mind is absolutely intently watching it. Like, there's no getting over it or under it. There's no passing it. There's no ignoring it. The mind is intently watching it, begging you to watch it, not allowing you to see anything else, be anything else, do anything else. Just watch it until it goes. And there's often very difficult behaviours that may come from them or may come as a result of having them. And it comes with its own particular language pattern. So I want you to think about a spider. Spider's probably a bad visual. Think about a spider. Think about a spider with about 10 legs. And those 10 legs represent parts of this woundedness that lie within us. Represent the somatics. Represent the emotion. Represent the physical nature of it. Represent the defense system, the nervous system activation. All these component parts of a core wound. And that core wound has its own language. And that language repeats itself. Repeats itself, repeats itself, and repeats itself. I'm not enough, I'm not enough, I'm not enough. And that is often what we then identify in therapy as a limiting belief. So when we try to heal it, we're only trying to heal one piece of the puzzle. Does that make sense to you? And in fact, it's not a limiting belief. And the energy of it should tell you that. And the evidence that you have collected along your life's journey is also attached to that idea of a spider, because your mind has kept all that evidence of the truth of this wound, of the truth of whatever it is that's telling you that you are, or this world is. It often has language like I am, it is. And it masquerades a wee bit like a limiting belief. It shows up a wee bit like a limiting belief, and so that's why it's difficult to actually see, are we dealing with a limiting belief or dealing with a core wound? But tonight I'm hoping that you can tell the difference. Tonight I'm hoping that you can tell from that description whether you're actually dealing with a limiting belief or you're dealing with a core wound. And the reality of it is, if it keeps coming back, then it often tells us it's a core wound. And these core wounds tend to have a special place in the body. They tend to have a special place in a particular part of your body. They tend to get lodged there. So this can never be just a head job. This can never be healing from thought only. This can never be an affirmation that will move this. If you understand how core wounds are formed, then you'll understand why they can't be moved alone by simple affirmations or new thoughts or reframing or new evidence. There's a lot of unpacking here to do. There's a lot of what I call refiring and rewiring. And that's okay. It can be done. And, I'm living proof that you don't have to live with these awful wounds that fundamentally terrorize you. And so is a lot of I have done thousands of hours of clinical practice at this stage, and I have trained hundreds of hours of therapy at this stage, other therapists, and the results that we see is incredible, especially when you know the difference between a limiting belief and a core wound. And I'm hoping this small, sharp video helps you understand that. Helps you understand the difference between the two, and why what you thought is a limiting belief is actually something with more weight, with more power, and it needs dissected. It needs looked at from a holistic point of view. It needs looked at from an emotional point of view as well as just a thought point of view. It needs looked at from a somatics point of view. Maybe the nervous system needs regulated prior to even working with it. Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe working with your defense system. Like, for example, let me give you an example about a defense system. My defense system was called sublimation. Sublimation just means trying to make everything good. That's all that means. So the minute pain would come, I would just dive right into trying to make it all better, trying to make it all good, trying to find anything positive, like, the ultimate bypass. Never really allowing myself to see what it was, to see the details. And that's a part of how a core wound will operate, because the mind won't allow it. The mind won't allow you to process it. It resists you working with it. So all of these component parts are evidence that you've got a core wound and not a limiting belief. And so to wrap this up, because I don't want to keep these for too long tonight, to wrap this up, if you have been fighting, and because that's what happens when you're working with a core wound, and thinking it was a limiting belief, and not understanding why it kept coming back, and not understanding why it kept showing up, then maybe tonight will help you understand that. Maybe tonight will help you understand that it's a wee bit bigger than just a limiting belief. It's a wee bit bigger than just a stream of thoughts and some evidence for those thoughts. It has a wee bit more substance to it than that. And when each part of what it's made up of, when each part of how it was formed is looked at, when each part of how it was created and the experience that it was created in is looked at, it will dissolve. There is a natural alchemy to these wounds, but only when we treat them exactly in the form that they were born in. Let me know if that was, yes, I know, Natalie, lots to consider. Lots and lots to consider. I'm delighted that you're watching the Emotional Mastery course, because that is a really important part of the puzzle. And often we can't get to these wounds if we're scared of them, if we're in pain of them. But this was really about trying to treat them from a thought-based point of view, and believing that they're just limiting beliefs, and believing that you just should get over them, and believing that you're weak if you haven't got over them, and believing that you're that there's something wrong with you if you haven't got over this limiting belief, because it's just a limiting belief and it's easy to do. It's not really. If it's a core wound, it has a lot to consider. So give yourself a break. Give yourself a pat in the back for how you've endured, how you've pushed through, how you've tried every corner of it. Give yourself a pat in the back, because under the circumstances, you're holding a core wound, hoping it will go away by just thought alone, and it hasn't, but you've kept on going. That's incredible. That's great stuff. So hopefully tonight has put a wee bit of clarity on that, has helped you understand what it is you're really dealing with, and then we can seek the appropriate help. So hopefully that helps. Nice to see you, Fiona. Nice to see you, Bernie. And I will see you all soon. If there's any topic that you'd like me to talk through, any topic that you'd like me to run through in detail, yes, Natalie, you're doing great. You always are doing great, considering, and that's part of this process as well. So if there's anything you'd like me to, brilliant, Leona, I'm delighted. Hopefully that was helpful for you. If there's anything you'd like me to talk about in the coming weeks, then do shout. What I am essentially doing is picking parts of the book that is in process, and bringing it to you in small chunks. So so if there's anything that you think that you'd like to know, or any questions you have, don't hesitate, won't you, not to message me. Just DM me this evening. I'll be on my phone for a wee while, and I will endeavour to answer, and maybe do some nice videos around. Good evening. Hope you all enjoy the rest of the evening. I don't know about wherever you are in the world, but here we're about to send the children back to school. Alleluia. And I'm hiding out in this room because football's on in the other room, and I can't do any more football. So good night for now, and I hope this found you well. Chat to you all soon. Bye for now.